Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to another installment of Get to Know Your Pastor. Last week, we had a wonderful conversation, asked 5 questions of our wonderful Pastor Mark. Got to know him a little bit better, got to know a little bit of the weird things that have happened to him in his life and ministry. And this week, on the hot seat, on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire seat without the $1 million, our wonderful, our amazing, our lovely Brandon Baker, everybody. Round of applause. Round of applause for everybody. Clapping in the room. Thank you. So, Brandon, just like last week, I got 5 questions for you. Some of them are going to range from family stuff, from life stuff, and then we're going to dabble into a couple of spiritual stuff. You ready?
Bring it.
Let's go. So, first question. Same one that we actually asked Pastor Mark last week, because I'm just so gosh darn curious. What is the most embarrassing moment you've had on stage?
We'd have to go back about 13 years. My oldest son, Kaiva, was 2, getting close to 3 years old, and I was a youth pastor in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we were having a youth event.
Okay.
And so in our gym, I had probably 100, 120 teens that we were doing a gym night, and I was speaking, wrapping things up for the night. I just gave my message, and I just prayed, and I was coming back to drive it home to give those last couple, challenges before I let them go that night. And I hear, as I'm doing that, footsteps behind me across the gym floor. And all the teens are oohing and ahhing, so cute. So I figured it was Kaiva had broke loose from mom and he was out for a stroll, So I didn't think much of it. And I hear the footsteps coming behind me, getting closer and closer and closer to me. Well, he must have tripped just before he got to me. And as he's falling, he reaches to catch himself, and he catches himself on the back of my shorts, which he pulled straight to the floor. And there I stood in front of 120 teens, pantsed by my 2-year-old son. So that was probably the most embarrassing moment.
Oh man, I can remember being in youth ministry, having to have, if that would have happened to me, oh my gosh, my students would never have let me live it
Yep.
down. I'm guessing that your students,
I still hear about
you
it.
still hear about it?
Some of those, well, they're adults now.
Well, yeah, but
Yep.
yep,
Yeah, still hear about it.
I hear that. Mine's not nearly as bad. I still get reminded how badly I get beaten in whatever game we played at youth group at that time. So I get it. Kind of going on to the spiritual side of things. So, as you said, you've been a youth pastor for a long time, and now you have, a role as a discipleship pastor here. So there have been a lot of times where you've had the opportunity to share the gospel and talk about the apostles, talk about those who were closest to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
There has to have been one that stood out to you that you were like, I get that guy. Like, I so identify with that guy. Which of the apostles would that be?
I'd have to say Peter.
Okay.
And again, probably not for maybe his better qualities, but some of his not so good qualities of opening his mouth and being bold. That can be good, but it just needs to be harnessed a little bit. But you see him so many times being bold and stepping up and saying, no, as a matter of fact, and I can run with truth that way and leave grace sort of in the background a little bit. And so I would have to say probably Peter.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, it's so good that that God gives us grace in those times where we just kind of bum rush ahead and just take the sword out and charge forward. But there's also something to be said about that passionate pursuit towards what God has for us, and there's a reason that Christ built His church upon Peter, and so there's something to be said for that boldness and that strength going forward. So completely get you. So thirdly, you've got a big family and you've been married for quite a while. Was there any kind of time, whether it was before being married, with kids, where you went to cook something? You got in the kitchen, got ready to go, and you went to go, maybe made a meal, and just something went absolutely horribly wrong. What is that worst experience in the kitchen?
Sure. Well, I think I'm a pretty good cook. When I do, my wife's a great cook, so I let her take care of that most of the time. But I enjoy cooking and doing those kinds of things when I get the opportunity to. But I would have to go back to before kids.
Okay.
This was actually our first meal together as husband and wife. We had just gotten married in Maryland. We had traveled back to Pennsylvania to the home that I had there, and we're going to spend a couple days and then go on our honeymoon. And so we get back to the house and we're tired and getting unpacked, and I figured I'll make dinner
Yeah.
for my wife, my new bride, right?
Yeah.
And so I get out the burger and I thaw that out, and I'm going to make hamburgers,
Yeah.
cheeseburgers. So I get out the skillet and I grill them up. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Put them on the buns,
Sounds
lettuce,
yummy.
tomatoes, cheese, all the good stuff, And I'm biting in, I'm chowing down. I think it's awesome. My wife takes one bite of my burger and spits it back out on the plate and says, "This is rotten. This meat is rotten. What is wrong with this?" I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with this meat." She goes, "Taste it, smell it." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "What kind of meat is it?" I said, "It's venison."
Oh,
She goes,
no.
"Venison?" She says, "This isn't beef." I'm like, "No, it's deer." And I almost called it off right there, like,
boy.
moment. If you're not going to eat
We're
deer
done.
meat, like, this is over. But no, she hadn't had deer meat and didn't know, the difference in that taste. And when she noticed that difference, I don't notice a difference, but when she noticed
Yeah.
that difference, that was a no-go at that point. Now, she eats
I
it all the
mean,
time.
for as
and she's
for as
used to
long
it,
as
so.
as long as you guys
Yeah,
been married,
married
for
to me
you being
for-
as much of an outdoorsman as you are.
You got to eat deer.
Oh,
yeah.
you got to.
Yeah,
I know
right.
my family, my uncle's an avid outdoorsman. Usually we'll have some type of game for Thanksgiving. I'm still acquiring the taste
Yeah.
because it's like once a year for me. I don't eat it regularly.
Yep.
So I totally get that, but that's hilarious. And the first meal too.
Yep,
First meal
first
after
one,
being
she
married.
spit it out. Didn't want it.
Man,
Like, well, then you're cooking from now on.
gotcha. So, kind of moving back to the spiritual side of things. Again, it's another question that we kind of probed of Pastor Mark last week, but it's one I think that's really, really valuable to know, just from your own point of view, and kind of your passions as far as ministry. Is there a specific portion in Scripture, a specific passage that if someone calls you up and says, "Hey, I need you to speak at an event. Hey, I need you to do this," and it's a blank slate, blank canvas, speak on whatever you'd like. What's the passage you are going to go to 99 times out of 100?
Yeah, it's got to be where we're at right now as Brad's talking through Mark and where he is in Mark 9. And, you got the transfiguration to the cross.
Okay.
I love that part of history there, that part of Scripture where, as I just will preach on Sunday, just preach this past Sunday of that transition in his ministry from proclaiming who he is and doing miracles and ministering to people to now taking this time. He knows the cross is coming.
Yeah.
He's laser focused on the cross and laser focused on training his men, making them followers of him, because he's going to give them, the ministry is going to be theirs. They're going to launch the church. They're going to be the first preachers, and so just watching his life from the time of the Mount of Transfiguration where Moses and Elijah appear and say it's time for the cross, to the point where he reaches the cross, and that span of life, and just watching his life and how he lives through that time has been very impactful. As my ministry has a slogan called "Aiming for the Exit."
Yeah.
Aim well for the exit so that you can exit well.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel Jesus is doing. He's aiming for the cross, and he's going to exit in the best way, that he could ever be for us, the death on the cross, which brings us salvation. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I don't think you could really pick a better passage to teach of than, showing Christ's final steps as he goes towards that fulfillment of God's prophecy of him fulfilling his destiny as as the second Adam, as the one who comes and and saves us. So so absolutely. So final question, and it's a question of the ages. It is a question that has spanned hundreds of years, possibly thousands. Tom or Jerry?
Tom or Jerry?
And if you're younger than me, you can please excuse this one. Tom and Jerry was a cartoon that was like from a long time ago. There's been some new ones. It's really funny. Ask your parents before you go watch it, but it's really, really funny. Anyways.
Tom and Jerry. I can't stand cats. I don't like cats. I'm allergic to cats, for one, but even if I wasn't, I don't like cats. I'm a dog guy. So maybe Jerry, maybe the mouse. But I will say this about Tom and Jerry. I watched it all the time, right?
Mhm.
And they always were fighting,
Yeah.
the cat was trying to kill the mouse was playing pranks on the
Yeah.
cat, all this went on. But there was a shift in that cartoon after a couple years where they started to partner together.
Started
They
working
became
together, didn't
friends,
they?
right?
Didn't they?
And then
Yeah.
they were after like this bulldog that
Yep.
kept caught. And I specifically remember when that shift and that change came, how happy I was. like they're getting
Yeah.
along. They're friends.
Yeah.
Like they found partnership in this together instead of going at each other. They were best pals. And I remember as a kid thinking, yes, fine.
Yeah.
I like it much better that they're friends. So there's a soft side of me. I don't know, but
No, I never thought of it like that
yeah,
before.
I liked it much better when they were on the same team.
Well, there you
So,
go.
there you go.
There you go.
But yeah, no cats. No cats.
No cats.
So
I'm
probably
not.
Jerry.
I'm not a cat guy either. My wife convinced me to get 2 cats for the girls.
They say if you die in your house, they'll eat you. So
Well, I wouldn't doubt that. So that's what it is. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Please, if you have enjoyed our conversations with Brandon, have enjoyed our conversations with Mark from last week, please leave a comment below. We would love to get Brad up here. We need your support on this. Please comment on this if you want to see Brad get in the hot seat. And we'll see you again soon. And again, we are so looking forward to gathering together and worshiping as the church. Have a great day.